National Foundation for Infantile Paralysis was organized in 1938 to serve you in your fight against poliomyelitis, one of America's most vicious, crippling diseases. We have seen many epidemics come and go, but this year's polio epidemic has been the greatest in America's history. We bring you a picture of this struggle, real scenes from 1949's epidemic, tangible evidence of your concern, your care for the afflicted. This is your war of 1949, your fight against infantile paralysis.
In the mid-1940s, there was a new war going on, the war on polio. Polio is a deadly bacterial disease that is spread through bodily fluids and causes spine and respiratory paralysis. It is also called infantile paralysis due to the high number of children who contracted the disease. This paralysis can eventually take over a person's entire body and lead to death. Polio was first shown on an ancient Egyptian carving from about 1403 to 1365 BC, but it was given its description in 1789 by Michael Underwood. Polio had become a major epidemic, and by 1952, there were over 57,000 cases. One temporary cure that was discovered was the iron lung. The iron lung allowed people paralyzed by polio that were unable to breathe to get the oxygen they needed. In the late 1940s and early 1950s, America was changing. With more stable living costs and the economy becoming more stable, people were looking up. The people who were stricken with the crippling epidemic were not so optimistic. People began demanding for a vaccine. John Enders, Frederick Robbins, and Thomas Weller were the first to make any progress. They discovered how to grow the poliomyelitis virus in cultures. After their discovery in 1948 and winning the Nobel Prize in 1954 for their discoveries, other scientists could begin working on a cure. Dr. Thomas Salk was able to synthesize a vaccine against polio in 1952. The number of cases dropped from 35,000 in 1953 to 5,300 cases in 1957. With the high price of treatment, a foundation was created to raise money for polio patients. Franklin D. Roosevelt created the March of Dimes due to him having polio years before the epidemic and wanting to help others in need. The March of Dimes was very successful and helped those children who could not help themselves.
Father calls me William, mother calls me Will, sister calls me Willie, but here they call me Bill. See, I can recite that. And I can walk now, too, if I know you are there and will help me. I can't go very far now, but with your help, I'll go further. Right now, the March of Dimes money has run out. There isn't any more. So please give your dimes and your dollars, lots of them, to the emergency March of Dimes. If you do, you'll see, I'll walk a long ways.
Many people did not trust the new vaccine and did not want to give it to their children due to the unknown side effects. With help from people such as Elvis Presley, the vaccine became a hit. The first child to be inoculated with the new vaccine was a 6-year-old boy named Randy Kerr. The vaccine worked. The number of cases dropped dramatically and the vaccine had become widely accepted. Along with FDR, there were many celebrities who had the polio virus. People such as Donald Sutherland, who currently plays President Snow in the Hunger Games series, Frank Mars, the creator of the chocolate company Mars, singer Dinah Shore, whose music is currently being played, and many others. There were many people such as Frank Sinatra who helped support the March of Dimes and raise awareness for polio. One man named Thomas Fortman was one of the first children to get polio in his hometown of Fort Wayne, Indiana. This is his story.
I had a tricycle and we would and the other kids and I were always outside riding our tricycles around the block, and then I remember I just had a headache, and I don't know, it didn't go away, and the doctor came out and I guess I really don't remember that. But anyway, my mom told me later that I went into a coma like for 2 days, and and my and my fever was really high. I mean, I don't know how high it was. And then when I finally woke up 2 days later, well, and then I mean I learned this. I mean later, I mean after Mom told me about it, that that, that I hollered or yelled for 2 days, and I do remember waking up and I laid on the couch there, and I would pick dried blood out of my ears, and then the next thing I knew was they had me laying in bed, and then my mom, or your great grandma, I guess, put hot packs on my back and on my legs.
This was called the Sister Kenny treatment. She had started using this technique in 1911 when she encountered her first polio patient. Hot packs were placed on their legs to encourage gentle movements, instead of the usual braces that were placed on people's legs to keep them rigid.
Well, then, as time went on, I mean, I didn't realize this maybe till I was a teenager, or in I was in high school, that I maybe I didn't even realize it then, but I was not as strong as the average kid my age, because only there was a percentage of my muscles that I wasn't using, and then if I would really exercise a lot, well, then I'd get sore, because the muscles I was using, I was overworking them, Yeah.
Tom was diagnosed with polio when he was 7 years old. A quarantine sign was placed on his front lawn to warn people about his case of polio.
Got polio, they had the county or whoever, or the city, put a sign up on our front porch that somebody in there had polio, and anyway, if people were walking down the street, well, they would walk on the other side of the street. See.
Even with having a mild case of polio, his symptoms still follow him around today. Since polio patients have a decreased muscle mass, they tire easily and require more sleep than the average person.
Anyway, the way it is now, I mean, of course, I'm not feeling good now anyway, because of the cancer, but before I got this cancer, well, I would, I'd work as much as I could, and then after lunch, I mean, I'd lay down and take a nap for an hour or hour and a half, and then when I would wake up, I would feel so good again. Yeah.
But he doesn't let this bring him down. Even after contracting cancer a few years ago, he still remains active and thinks positively.
Polio, and I have a speech impediment, and I look at those things as a gift, or as a blessing, because it's taught me how other kids or how other people feel when they're made fun of or laughed at, because of my speech impediment.
With a mindset as strong as his, it's no wonder he was able to beat the crippling effects of polio.
But I mean, I know that I'm a different person than maybe many other people, but I look at it as a gift, because it made me understand. Yeah. And people that laugh at other people for whatever, I feel sorry for those people, because they don't understand,